Give up on breastfeeding yet. I was literally so close to throwing the towel. This baby right here was 31 weeks and 5 days when she was born, and my goal was to get the heck out of the NICU. So we were bottles because I was just more focused on getting her home than I was on her breastfeeding. But my ultimate goal always was to get her breastfed. Let's talk about the things that led us to be now exclusively breastfed. First things first, and this is specific to NICU babies, preemies, any of that kind of stuff. First oral experience to be breastfeeding, not a bottle. So the first time that they're allowed to take milk, putting them to breast. From there, we were just very cue based. I actually really just latched her about 1 to 2 times a day. Granted, she was still 32, 33 weeker, so she was very tired. So I was waiting for like the optimal windows where she was like wide awake and looking around for her passy. Those were the times that I latched her to give her a good positive oral experience. When they start letting her take volume, that was around 33 and a half weeks. Straight to the bottles. I'm gonna be completely honest. I was still latching her. I was latching her at least once a day. And it did kind of dwindle closer to getting home. So I really was just doing 1 time a day because I didn't want to use up one of her feeding sessions for breastfeeding, knowing that she wasn't really going to get a lot of volume because she didn't latch well, she didn't transfer well, and it just wasn't a good overall experience. So she was still getting a full supplementation after we breastfed regardless. And that like counted against her homegoing, if that makes sense. It took her, I think, about 5 days to go from starting bottles to taking full feeds. I was able to get her NG out, and we were able to go home at 34 weeks and 6 days. So then we got home, and I was extremely motivated to get her exclusively breastfed, or as much as I could, still knowing she would need some fortification. So I'm like, let's hit the ground running. No, not with my 17, 18-month-old running around. I was triple feeding for over an hour. She was latching, and her latch was so shallow that she was not transferring well. So then she would breastfeed for 20 minutes and I would cut her off and she would still act starved to death and wake up screaming. So then I would have to pump and give her a bottle. That just literally wore me out. And if you guys follow me, you know how close I was at that point to literally throwing in the towel with breastfeeding. And I was completely devastated. I was literally crying every single feed at that point. I was just nonstop hysterical, and honestly, it was just so miserable and so mentally taxing. I forgot to say, we did try a nipple shield about 3 or 4 times. I hated it so much that I was like, if this is how I'm gonna have to breastfeed, I truly don't even want to breastfeed. I never felt like she transferred well. I never felt like she latched well to it, so I just gave up that. There were some days once we got home that I literally wasn't even latching her once because it was so much for me mentally to try to latch her and triple feed and have my toddler. Like I couldn't do it. Then I realized that she didn't do well when he was awake and like I was overstimulated. So I started just trying to breastfeed her at night when he was in bed and like there was no one else around us and it was just me and her. And she started doing really well. Like that's when she kind of started to kind of figure it out. Not full feed figure it out, but like start to sort out what's going on. And then literally she hit 39 weeks and she just started breastfeeding, started exclusively breastfeeding. I've got nothing. I don't know. I just stayed consistent with it. I stayed calm. I got myself to a good point where like I was not stressed about it anymore. And whatever was going to happen was going to happen. And that's just honestly kind of when it started to work out. I think her gestational age played a huge role in that. And so now here we are. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. But like that's the broad overview. And I hope it works out for you guys.